ओम सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. We are studying Sri Ramakrishna, the great masters, as the spiritual teacher, second part, and we are reading the third chapter, and we are read up to para 22 in the third chapter. Now, let me read the para 22 again to get the connection. In those places of Vraja, the master saw many world-renouncing sadhakas sitting within kupas with their backs to the doors and immersed in japa and meditation by withdrawing their eyes from external outward things. The master's mind was much attracted by the natural and other beauties of Vraja. Adorned with fruits and flowers. What are the other beauties? Oh, that word is missing. Huh? That word is not there in Bengali. What he has described is other than natural. So they added this word. Was much attracted by the natural beauties of Raja, adorned with fruits and flowers. All this is natural. The small hillock, Govardhan, deer and peacocks, free from fear. बापरे क्या हो गया तिलक बंदे हो गए. Roaming everywhere in the forest, the holy men engaged in austerity and spending their days in incessant thought of God. And the inhabitants of Raja, whose behavior was simple, sincere, and respectful. Besides, from there we have to get connected up to the Swared. Besides, at Nidhuvan, the master was much charmed to see Ganga Mata, a perfected lover of God, an aged lady of great austerity. That enjoyed word has come, so I have to stop. কোথায় enjoyed? Oh. I would put a different word. He was charmed with her company. He was charmed. With her company so much that He thought he would not leave Vraja and go anywhere else, but spend the rest of his life there. So much, huh? After Dakshineshwar, he was so happy there. One thing is Vraja, second thing is company of Ganga Mata. So he did not want to live there. Ganga Mata at Niduval, the master's desire to live there. He returned to Calcutta when he asked himself who would serve his old mother. Ganga Mata was then about 60 years old. How much was master?
Which year it might be?
Which years have gone? 18. It is described here somewhere. That is before all these devotees came and all that. During his sadhana almost.
30s.
With Mathur Babu.
Maybe 30s.
He must be hardly 30.
Yes.
Ganga Mata was then about 60 years old. Seeing her overwhelming spiritual love in her constant relationship with Radha and Krishna for a very long time. The people of that place regarded her as Radha's principal companion, Lalita. Radha has 8 friends, out of that Lalita is supposed to be the closest, who had assumed a body for some reason or other and come down on earth to teach Jiva's divine love. This was people's respect for Ganga Mata. As soon as she saw him, she, we heard from the Master himself, could recognize the signs of Mahabhava, the great mood, manifested in the Master's body, like those in Radhika's. She therefore called him Dulali. Dulali means darling friend, thinking that Radhika had incarnated herself as the Master. So the male body had no effect on her. In the realm of spirituality, this body, whether it is male or female, does not stand at all. Therefore called him Dulali, the darling friend, thinking Radhika had incarnated herself as the Master and come down on earth. Ganga Mata considered herself blessed in having the privilege of meeting the darling friend without seeking him, without seeking her, it should be there, and thought that her long, heartfelt service and love had borne fruit that day. The Master also forgot everything else when he met her, and as one long familiar with her, lived in her hermitage for some time. Within Niduvana, they were so much charmed with each other's affection that Mathur and the others, we were told, were afraid lest he should refuse to return to Dakshineshwar. How this is happening, you understand? If Radha meets her friend Lalita or Lalita meets her friend Radha, that is what would happen. Then where is the world, where is Dakshineshwar? So this true relation between Radha and her friend was there embodied with them. We can well infer how anxious Mathur, who was so very obedient to the Master, became on account of that thought. But the filial love of the Master towards his mother, filial, you understand? Son to the mother or father, became victorious after all and conquered his resolve of remaining at Vraja. So that is in the world. The Master said to us in this connection, I forgot everything when I went to Vraja. I thought I would no more return here. But a few days later, I remembered my mother. I thought she would be in difficulty. Who would look after her and serve her in that old age? That thought arose in the mind and made it impossible for me to live there. Now this sadhana he has to explain because he is a sannyasi. A wonderful harmony in the master's life of ideas and of quality contrary to one another. Although a sannyasi, the master served his mother. The more we think, the more do the words and actions of this extraordinary person, today something gone, appear wonderful indeed. And the more amazed we are to see the unprecedented harmony in him of apparently contradictory qualities. Apparently as that contradictory qualities. Do you not see that although he offered everything, body, mind, etc., at the lotus feet of the Universal Mother, he could not offer truthfulness to her. This is also apparent. Huh? Although he gave up worldly relations with all persons, he could not forget his affection and duty to his mother. And although he never retained the slightest tinge of carnal relationship with his wife, he never forgot always to maintain in the mood of the Guru a loving relationship with her. In the mood of the Guru. How many are the complete examples that he be given of his extraordinary actions? Who are the teachers or incarnations of God of past ages, in whose life so many contradictions meet in such sweet harmony? Who will not say that such a harmony was never seen anywhere else? One may not take him as an incarnation of God, but can one find a parallel in the spiritual world? Search as diligently as one may. His aged mother, we heard from the Master himself many a time, lived the last few years of life, her life at Dakshineshwar, under his care. When he performed daily with his own hand all kinds of service to her and considered himself blessed, again, when his adorable mother passed away, he's telling some future things now in connection. Great was the master's grief, and he was seen to shed such profuse tears in sorrow as very few in the world are seen to do. But although he was so much grieved at the death of his mother, the master never for a moment forgot that he was a sannyasi. He had the obsequies and funeral ceremonies of his mother performed by his nephew Ramlal. As he, being a sannyasi, was precluded by the scriptural injunctions from performing them, and he himself sat in a secluded place and paid off, as far as possible, his debts to his mother by weeping for her. Wonderful. The Master said to us about this on many occasions. In the world, our children, the parents are worthy of supreme veneration. They should be served according to one's power as long as they live, and after their death, their funeral ceremonies should be performed according to one's means. One who is poor has no resources to perform them with should go to the forest, remember the parents and weep. It is in this way alone that the debts due to them is paid off, because it is more a question of the bhava. It is only for the sake of God that one may disobey one's parents. One does not incur any blemish thereby. Here, one may disobey. Okay, Karachali. How can we translate that? Okay, may is not bad. And they did not incur any blemish on that account. No. That one may disobey one's parents, one does not incur any blemish thereby. Prahlada, though forbidden by his father, did not give up taking the name of Krishna. And Dhruva, though forbidden by his mother, went to the forest to practice austerities. And they did not incur any blemish on that account. So if the mother is not opposed to your spiritual ideals, one serves her. We felt blessed to see the wonderful manifestation of the Master's power as the spiritual teacher of people through this filial devotion to his mother in this way. So he's Jagat Guru, he is teaching everybody like this. The Master refused to go to Gaya, the abode of Gadadhar, knowing that he would be in Samadhi there and have to part with his body, the reason for this. Now to understand one thing, because we are starting from Guru Bhav, this thing has not come. Sri Ramakrishna's father, Khudiram, had a dream in Gaya. And the lord of that Gaya is Gadadhar, Vishnu. And Gadadhar appeared before him and said, I will be born as your son. That is the background. And Sri Ramakrishna was born. The master bade goodbye to Ganga Mata with difficulty because that attraction was still there and returned to Kashi with Mathur. Now you see, attachment does not mean he gave up Kashi and ran to his mother. But this idea of staying permanently in Vrindavan, he gave up. He lived there a few days when on the occasion of the Deepavali, the new moon night of illumination, he saw the golden image of Sri Annapurna. You know this? Annapurna's routine image is not gold. The golden Annapurna is people can have darshan only on some particular days. And Diwali is one of the days. So that is why they had come to Kashi to be present on that occasion. And was beside himself with love and devotion. Mathura had a desire to pay a visit to Gaya from Kashi, but the master dissented. And Mathur gave up that desire when the master's father had come. What is this sentence's continuation? No, the sentence construction, is it not peculiar? But the master dissented and Mathur gave up the desire. There should be a parenthetical clause. It is connected with master registered, not with Mathur. We must change this sentence a little. Otherwise, the peculiar connection comes. But I would try. But Mathur gave up the desire because the master dissented. Okay, then it will get connected. Master dissented. No. When the master's father, then grammatically, let me see in Bengali and then find out. This sentence is not constructed. There is a full stop, there is no connection or add.
The last.
Otherwise, that getting composition peculiar. Yes, that's all. As I told you, if you start like this, but the master dissented and Mathur gave up the desire. Full stop. Full stop. It is not connected. Huh? And then put W capital, next sentence. Now it is all right. Now Saradanji is telling us the reason. When the master's father had come to Gaya, the abode of Gadadhar, he, we were told by the master himself, had come to know in a dream that Gadadhar would be born in his family. Now, come to know in a dream, we have to discuss. Huh? Because some people get confused at this point. Let me clarify. When we read Mandukya Karika, Gaudpad has vehemently proved that dreams are unreal. And then, what about this? Tell me the conflict. Hmm? Ordinary dreams are unreal, but divine dreams are real. That is the big difference. And Gaudpaji has not discussed about divine dreams. That is the main difference. Otherwise, this confusion will exist. Many people suffer from this confusion. So, if you see God or godly people in dream, that is not unreal, that is real. More real than our daily life. Many people get commands in dream. In our mission, after Swamiji had passed away, long afterwards, Swami Ashokananda was initiated by Swamiji in a dream. And some people are telling him, no, you better get initiated by somebody. And Mahapuruji supported fully, you need not at all. You have received initiation, you follow that. And about Mahapuruji himself, 1/3 of his disciples have received their initiation in dream. So divine dreams are real, more real than our daily present life, waking life. But other dreams are imaginations or memories of mind mixed up due to sanskaras, that is other. We were told by Master himself had come to know in a dream that Gadadhar should be born in his family. And that was why when the Master was born, he was named Gadadhar. He sometimes said to us that he refused to go to Gaya with Mathur, lest when he saw the lotus feet of Gadadhar there, he should become overwhelmed with love, completely forget to live in a body separate from him, and unite with him for all time to come. When the Karya comes near the Karan, it melts. That is the theory. It was the firm conviction of the Master that the one who in past ages had incarnated himself as Rama, Krishna, Gauranga and others had come down to the world in his own person. Therefore, you understand this point? He was not afraid of death in the ordinary sense. But he has come to fulfill a purpose that will remain unfulfilled. Therefore, there arose in him, we observed, an indescribable feeling at the talk of his going to Gaya, the place of the origin of his body and mind. As known, the he will be born means his body and mind. as known from his father's dream, mentioned before. He had also a similar feeling about visiting the places where other incarnations of God had brought to an end their divine play. Two things, huh? The current one thing, and secondly, if avatar had dissolved his body, any avatar, then he will also like to dissolve that body. So he does not want that. So he did not go to Puri for that purpose, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had ended his life. The master said that if he went to those places, he would enter into such a profound absorption that his mind would not come down from there back to the sphere of mortals. The master expressed a similar feeling on another occasion at the proposal of his going to Puri, otherwise called Neelachal. Puri has a mountain hill. Anyway, Achala generally means hill or mountain. Anyway, Neelachal, where the divine sport of Gauranga had ended. It was not a feeling regarding himself alone. As a general rule, when he knew through yogic vision that any one of his devotees was a part or a manifestation of a particular deity, he expressed that kind of feeling regarding him also at the proposal of his going to that particular place of the divine play of that deity and forbade his going there. Forbade. Rakhat Maharaj went to Vrindavan. Then anybody else was there?
Puri.
ताके तथाई जाते निषेध करिते. Now he is explaining that. It is difficult to explain to the reader that feeling of the master. It is not reasonable to call it fear. For even those ordinary persons who experience ecstasies in their lives recognize how at death the soul merely leaves the body and becomes thereupon free from fear. So those who have realized God, they are free from fear, ordinary people. Knowing that to be a particular transition, like any one of the physical transitions from one stage to another, such as childhood, youth, etc. In the Gita, यथा देहे कौमारम यौवनम जरा तथा देहांतर प्राप्ति धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते. So it is no wonder that the incarnations of God, able to enter into profound ecstasy at will, conquer death and become absolutely fearless. Neither can we call it an eagerness to live or to have the body saved, such as people in general have, for it is for the purpose of having selfish pleasure or enjoyment that the generality of people express that eagerness. This explanation cannot be applicable to those from whose mind selfishness has forever been washed out. How then can we explain the aforesaid feeling of the master? Words are our instruments. That is, they are there to express the ideas that rise in our minds. Where is the power in those words to express the very exalted divine ideas in the minds of great souls like the master? So, spiritual ideas or divine ideas cannot be expressed in the words of the language. O reader, no alternative but to give up the idea of argumentation, to listen with faith to the exact words in which the master described them, and try as far as possible, with the help of imagination, to paint picture of those exalted ideas in our mind. Now he is explaining that in Master's word. It is a law that the effect merges in the cause. The Master said, and there are many examples of it in the scriptures, that a manifestation arising from a place, thing, or person would merge into that wherefrom it originated when it happened to come very near it. The jivas owe their origin. You see, beautifully explained now. The jivas owe their origin or manifestation to Brahman. When they acquire right knowledge and approach it, they merge into it. The limited minds of you, me, and all other individuals have originated from the infinite mind. In other words, they are the manifestation of that mind. If the little mind of any one of us grows in purity, compassion, non-attachment and other noble qualities and approaches that infinite mind, that is becomes similar, it merges into it. Mind merges, the man does not die. Almost all Thakur disciples are known to have universal mind. No, some may not have in the beginning. I will tell something in connection with this. What is Ishwar Koti? Ishwar Koti is a person whose mind is like Ishwar, universal. Now Thakur talked about a few people as Ishwar Koti. So people have doubts about others. Some listener of Leelaprasanga, our sadhu, was not ready to give any value to Saradananda Swamiji's word. Because Saradananda Swamiji is not Ishwar Koti. Somebody asked Mahapurush Maharaj. Now I am telling a spiritual truth. Somebody asked Mahapurush Maharaj, Maharaj, your name is not there in Ishwar Koti. His reply is the explanation for all. He said that I was Jiv Koti, but Thakur made me Ishwar Koti. No, understand this. If he realizes God, then he has become universal mind. And that is what true of Saradananda Swamiji also. Understood this point? Okay. And that is what Saradananda Swamiji is telling here. The earth has come out of the sun, into which it will immediately merge if it approaches it. The sun, drawn by some force or other, it must therefore. And that is continuous. If it approaches it, the sun, drawn by some force or other, it must therefore be understood that behind that conviction of the master, there is a particular feeling unknown to us. And if there actually exists a thing or a person called Sri Gadadhar, and if the mind and body of the master had for some reason or other originated or manifested it from him, lot of if is giving. Because argument, what was there irrational in the faith that attracted towards each other on account of love, they would unite again when the approach was close enough. Now, all this generally telling, the law of karma cannot solve the mystery of the life of an incarnation. The reason thereof. There is no prarabdha karma at all. Or if they have prarabdha karma, what Rama did, what Krishna did, no inference or reasoning is necessary to explain that the lives of incarnations are not like those of ordinary men. They are like human beings, seeing in there the manifestation of unthinkable, unimaginable power. Men's heads are bent down in reverence to them. They offer their heartfelt worship and take refuge in them. Is it only power here? Maybe. Shakti Prakash. The philosophers of India, like the great Rishi Kapila and other geniuses, made the utmost effort to pierce the mystery of the lives of those extraordinary, powerful personages. Kapila is the originator of Sankhya. Huh? Now we Vedanti say that all are equal. But we are not equal. The powers hidden within us are different. So some people suppose we see got knowledge here. But some people, if we trace, they are never in ignorance in this life. So they have got knowledge in the previous life. Now in some people's case, we go on tracing back and back. They were never in ignorance. Such people Kapil cannot explain. Made the utmost effort to pierce the mystery of the lives of those extraordinarily powerful personages, trying to ascertain what led to such a vastly greater manifestation of power in them than in ordinary people. They saw at the very outset that the law of karma, common to all, was quite inappropriately solved the mystery. For it is in search of their own selfish pleasure that ordinary people perform good and bad actions. But when the actions of those other persons are studied, that motive is seen to have been absolutely lacking. Not a single thing in Thakur is for his personal use. The desire to remove the misery of others produced in them an irresistible effort therefore, and is the and at the altar of that desire, they completely sacrificed all their own enjoyment and pleasure. Again, it was also seen that the quest for honor, for name and fame in the world never nourished the root of that desire. So gross enjoyment or settler enjoyment, nothing is there. For it was always their habit to give up in all respect the desire to attain higher worlds and worldly honor. Neither Sargaloka Prapti nor worldly honor, which they shunned as they would be droppings of crows. So honor they shun like the dropping of crows. Do you not see that the two rishis, Nara and Narayana, spent ages in practicing austerity in the hermitage of Badrika in order to ascertain the means to do good to humanity? The avatar. Ramachandra banished even Sita, dear to him as his life, so that his subjects might be happy. Krishna performed each action of his with a view to establishing truth and religion. Buddha renounced the wealth of a king so that he might deliver men from the pain arising from birth, old age, death, etc. Jesus gave up his life on the cross so that the kingdom of heaven might come down to this world of grief and misery. That the realm of love of the Father in heaven, who was love itself, might prevail over hatred, jealousy, and bloodshed. It was against irreligion. It was against irreligion that Muhammad took up the sword. Shankara applied all his powers to explain to men that true peace consisted in the realization of non-duality. And knowing that all the power conducive to the good of men lay in the name of Hari alone, Chaitanya renounced worldly pleasures and enjoyment and dedicated his life to the preaching of the name of Hari through loud singing and unrestrained dancing. What selfishness impelled them to perform all those actions? What pleasure attracted them to undergo such suffering? Conclusions drawn by Indian philosophers when they saw the signs of liberated persons manifested in incarnations from childhood. Incarnations belong, according to the Sankhya philosophy, to the class of persons merged in Prakriti. Because they do not believe in permanent God, so they are defined as Prakriti Leen Purush. And he is explaining that the signs spoken of in the scriptures and admitted to be produced in the bodies of persons liberated in life, owing to extraordinary feelings experienced by them, were, the philosophers found, clearly manifested in the lives of incarnations too. They were therefore forced to regard them as belonging to a new class. Kapila, the author of the Sankhya, said that they had in their minds a kind of very generous desire to do good to humanity at the point of mukti. Therefore, though already liberated through the power of austerity practiced in their past, they are already liberated. They did not dwell in the state of nirvana, infinite bliss. They merged in Prakriti. In other words, they spent the period of a cycle knowing that all the powers of Prakriti were there. We have a part of Prakriti, this body and mind. They took the whole Prakriti as their body and mind, and so they could, they had the power to liberate everybody. And therefore, that one among that class who knew himself possessed of such powers in any particular cycle appeared to the people in general to be Ishvara during that period. So they admitted Kalpaniyamak Ishvara. He is the ruler for that cycle. That means from creation up to destruction, one Kalpa. For anyone who knew all the powers of Prakriti as is, would be able to apply or withdraw those powers at will. Just as we can use all the powers of Prakriti that exist in our limited bodies and minds only because we know them as ours, so can they use all its powers at will inasmuch as they know them as belonging to themselves. Although Kapila does not admit the existence of an eternal Ishvara, he has admitted the existence of all powerful persons, each of whom exists for a cycle, and called them Prakriti Lina Purusha, that is, persons merged in Prakriti. Now, Vedanta understands this better because it knows that there is a permanent God. So, Vedanta calls it incarnation or God himself. The Vedanta calls these persons the Adhikarika or persons authorized. And according to it, there are in this class of persons two divisions, the incarnations of God and the eternally free Ishwar Kotis. So incarnations of God and Nitya Siddha Ishwar Kotis. They are perfected beings. Again, the authors of the Vedanta admit the eternal existence of the only person called Ishvara. And accept only person means Purusha. Sankhya believes in many Purusha. Vedanta believes in one Purusha. And accept that he exists manifested as the Jivas and the universe. They are therefore of the opinion that those extraordinary powerful persons are born of special parts of Ishvara, who is by nature eternally pure, eternally awake, and eternally free. That is Ishvara's definition. That is not all. But each of those persons is born as the world's needs demand for a particular purpose conducive to the good of humanity. As he comes down to earth possessed of the necessary powers to accomplish his mission, he is called in the Vedanta as Adhikari. This one should understand. People say Vedanta all are same, all are same. That is not true. People are different. So in Vedanta itself they are defined as Adhikarika Purusha. A person entrusted with a mission and possessed of the adhikar, the authority to accomplish it. Again, seeing a higher and a lower manifestation of power in these persons and observing that the actions of some of them are performed for the permanent good of all the people of the whole world, and those of others for the people of one country or a part of it only. The authors of the Vedanta recognize the former as incarnations of God and the latter as eternally free Ishwar Kotis, endowed with less authority. If they are, but it is a little different here. If they are for some particular part of the world. With this opinion of the authors of the Vedanta as the basis, the authors of the Puranas afterwards came forward in their effort to ascertain, with the help of imagination, that the reason does not reach there. How large, Puranas, Rama is 12 kalas, Krishna is 16 kalas, like that they count. Purana, imagination. How large a part of God each one of the incarnations was, and made a little too much of their business of calculation. The author of the Bhagavata wrote such verses. These are 1/16th or smaller parts of the all-pervading one, but Krishna is the divine Lord himself. Ete chansha kala punsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Sri. So that is the narrowness, or that is the imagination, or that is the sadhana ludicrous part. Too much of that. We already tried to explain to the reader in Gurvarga, that the power of the Guru is that of God himself. Finding the jiva who has fallen into delusion produced by ignorance, unable to overcome it by the personal efforts, he himself becomes, on account of his infinite mercy, eager to deliver him from it. The compassionate eagerness of God and the efforts from born thereof are what are called Shri Guru and his Guru Bhav, or power of spiritual teaching. The power of the Guru has been manifesting itself now and again to us in the forms of special human beings from time immemorial, so that the people in general might grasp and understand it. It is these persons that are being worshipped by the world as the incarnation of God. It is therefore clear that these persons, the incarnations of God, are the true gurus of humanity. Let me discuss a common practical point in the Ramakrishna mission. Apart from Brahmagya Purushas, our presidents, vice presidents, or whoever gives Diksha, we received Diksha from the great revered Swami Yatishwaran. And he clearly said, I am not your Guru. Sri Ramakrishna is your Guru. So these days, two questions arise. One is, he is my Guru, he is so-and-so's Guru. They should understand. When the great Yatishwaranji said, I am not your Guru, does it not apply to all? One point. Second point, I have not served my Guru. We in the mission and the devotees both. Now this Ramakrishna Sangha is body of Ramakrishna. So if you do any service to the Ramakrishna mission, it is serving the Guru. Let me make it further clear. No, you are given a duty. The month of an ashram is given a duty. Similarly, these people are given a duty to give Diksha. Let me digress a little and tell this point, because a lot of people are confused. Same, when Swami Yatishwaranji came to Nagpur, he had written beforehand in many letters that he would not initiate more than 50. Not in a batch, during his 7 days stay there. Now, our list was already 52. And one day before the last day of his initiation, two devotees came, a couple, and said, asked my Guruji, can we get Diksha? He told me to take those people to Somnath Maharaj, Yatishwaranji's secretary. I argued that, but he has said that not more than 50, and our already list has become 52. He said, why you bother? You take them to Somnath Maharaj. Then I argued as if on behalf of Yatishwaranji. But it will not make much strain for them. To that, Maharaj Guruji replied, that is their work. They will do it. Understood the whole thing? As we have our fixed work, that is their work. This should clear the doubts from anybody's mind. I don't want to tell further. The bodies and minds of adhikarikas are made of material different from those of ordinary people. So man-like enough. This is why their desires and actions are also different from those of others and are so astonishing to us. What the Sridhar Swami says, or about incarnations in general, note down the word if you like. Vishuddha Urjita Sattva Svabhav. Vishuddha Urjita Sattva Svabhav. That means our body is made of Sattva, Raja, Tama. And without some Raja and Tama, body cannot be made. But as little of Raja and Tama, so Urjita, Vishuddha Urjita Sattva Svabhav, that is their bodies. And because of this, they can do many things. Therefore, the bodies and the minds of adhikari persons are said to be made of such stuff as enables them to hold and retain the divine love and devotion and to manifest the powers of higher planes quite naturally and without any sense of elation. That means if you are able to do something, we will become egoistic. Oh, I am able to do this. The jiva becomes egoistic and is beside himself with joy when he gets a little spiritual power and respect from people. A wonderful analysis for self-introspection. But the adhikari persons do not get at all unsettled or have their power of discrimination destroyed or become egoistic. Even if they get those powers 1,000-fold. Holy Mother is the big example. Shambhu, his wife, used to worship her as Devi. She accepted that worship and came back and swept the room and cooked food. The jiva never likes to return. Example, the jiva never likes to return to the world for any reason whatever. If being free from all kinds of bondage, he can somehow attain in samadhi the knowledge of the self. But as soon as the adhikarika persons feel this place, there arises in their mind the question how they can share it with others. After the realization of God, the Jiva has no duty whatever left. But it is only after that realization that the adhikari persons grasp and understand the special purpose for which they were born and begin to accomplish it. That is another thing. From childhood, they are not fully aware. But in Nirvikar Samadhi, become fully aware. Therefore, the law regarding adhikarika persons is that until they execute the specific mission for which they are born, there never arises in their minds, as does in the mind of ordinary liberated person, the attitude that if the body is to drop, it might well be allowed to drop without any harm. But rather, there is seen in them an eagerness to live in the sphere of the mortals. Thakur is still at the point of cancer. If you say that why bear so much kashta, I can drop this body now. But one thing remains to be done. I want to create such bond of love between you people. For that I am so clear, very clear. But it is seen a tremendous difference between the will to live of the incarnations and that of the jiva. Moreover, the adhikari persons know when it is that their mission has been executed and delightfully give up their bodies in samadhi without remaining for a second more in the world. Bapre. True about Swami Vivekananda. Once he told Nivedita that I should go now. Nivedita said, so much work is to be done. He said, what do you know? I know what Thakur wanted me to do, that is over. Then Nivedita said, suppose it is over. What harm is there in remaining for some time? He said, I see all the disciples of Thakur have so much power in them to do good to the world. But when I am present, their power is not being manifested. Under the shadow of a big tree, the other plants do not grow. So I must go. So they are neither attached to life nor to death. They know their work is done, they will go. A jiva cannot even know when the duties of his life would come to an end. Let alone the power of giving up his body at will in samadhi. Even Totapuri could not give. Rather, he feels that many desires remain unfulfilled in this life of his. There are similar differences between them in all other respects also. Therefore, we shall be falling into a great error if we try to judge the purpose and actions of the lives of incarnations by our own standard. The aforesaid views of the scriptures must be understood little by the reader if he wants at all to understand the sayings of the Master. The body will cease to live if I go to God. So he had to take so much to describe that power, will. And eternal samadhi will result if I visit Puri and so on. That is why we have discussed this subject here very briefly. The reader will have also understood from the above discussion that no mood of the Master is without scriptural authority. So this is about not going to Gaya. One para more is there about this pilgrimage which was going on. The Master, we said before, refused to go to Gaya with Mathur. Therefore, no one could visit that holy place during that trip. All returned to Calcutta via Vaidyanath. It was at Vaidyanath that, seeing the poverty of the people of a certain neighboring village, the Master, it is not about coming back. When the party was going towards Kashi, was filled with compassion, and Mathur, in accordance with his wish, fed them to their fill one day and gave each of them a piece of cloth. We have mentioned the incident in detail in another place. Already this you have read. Okay, Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastam Sarvadharma Swarupakah Acharyana Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanavastu. Here.